Hi, magandang araw. Kamusta kayong lahat? I hope you're all doing great and that all of you are safe in your respective homes. So, binabati ko kayo for surviving week 1 and now we are on our week 2. And for this week, you will be learning about the elements of an argument. And that is what we will discuss in this video. Now, I hope you will learn a lot from this. And if you do have questions or concerns, do not hesitate to leave a comment below. And if you wish me to do a video or an instructional video on another topic which you are having difficulty with, please let me know. You can message me via Facebook Messenger, or you can send me a text through SMS, or you can call my number. My number is indicated in your side packs. So let us now start. Hi, so let us now start our discussion on the elements of argument. Let us begin with a quotation from Salman Rushdie. He said, "A mature society understands that the heart of democracy is argument." Well, argument has been part of our daily lives, right? A day won't pass without us making an argument because it's our right being in this democratic world or in this democratic country. Now, let us just discuss the purposes of argument. Why is there a need for us to learn the proper way of arguing or the proper way of making an argument? So it says here, argument has two purposes. Argument is used to, first, change people's point of view or persuade them to accept new points of view. And the second one is that argument persuade people to a particular action or new behavior. Every one of us have our different opinion on something. You will see it in social media, right? People would be posting and arguing in the comment sections about a specific concern or about a specific issue, and people would have their different take on it. That's how life goes. We see things in different perspectives, and each of us may be right or may be wrong. Now, we use argument to make other people believe in what we believe, to persuade them, or to make them do or turn something into an action. Let us continue. Because people don't always agree on what is right or reasonable, appropriately constructed argument helps us arrive at what is fair or true. Remember that what we know or what we believe in is not always true. There are different perspective of something, or there are different perspective of a truth, and what we may be seeing is not the entire truth. Maybe this is just one part, a piece of the truth, or one perspective of the reality. Argument is used to settle disputes and discover truth. Argument helps us learn to clarify our thoughts and articulate them honestly and accurately, and to consider the ideas of others in a respectful and critical manner. Here you can see the rhetorical situation. So rhetorical, from the word rhetoric, which means the study of words, of writing and speaking as a means of communication. So it says here, this is what surrounds the argument, motivates the rhetor. So rhetor is the speaker or the writer, and the external elements of the argument itself. So the background, context, the problem, the exigency, author, audience, and argument. Okay, so of course, in every argument, there is a problem, there is an issue. Okay, so the author is there is an audience, and there is the argument. Now, how do we deal with this? Okay, so Aristotle's rhetorical triangle would help us deal with an argument or the process of arguing. So for Aristotle, there could you could appeal into these three elements: the ethos, the pathos, and the logos. So what are these? Yeah. So let's start with the first one. So pathos. Pathos appeals to the emotion. It stirs strong feelings within the audience. Logos, on the other hand, appeals to the logic. It constructs a message of a well-reasoned argument, while ethos which means ethical appeal. It establishes credibility and the authority of the speaker. Let's have this example. Okay, so let's start with the word, with the first one, pathos. So if you're going to look in this, you'll see, you will never be satisfied in life if you don't seize the moment. You can do it. Get on the swing. Okay, so here the speaker appeals to the emotion of the one spoken to. Okay, so the speaker appeals to the emotion. Later on, I will be presenting to you how we can easily identify if a certain argument appeals to either of the three. Okay, next is logos. So logos meaning persuading through reasoning. So the speaker here says, we should move production to Singapore. Manufacturing costs are cheaper. So what was the reason? What was the argument about to move the production to Singapore? And the reason is that because the manufacturing cost in that country is cheaper than in other countries. And the last is the ethos, persuading by using your perceived credibility or authority. So the speaker here, the king says, as king, I know all roads that lead to Rome. Okay, so he uses his power, he uses his authority, he uses his credibility in persuading someone, okay, to believe in his claims and his ideas. Now, how do we, or how do I, identify pathos? Okay, so here are the things that you have to look for. Connotative diction. When you say diction, it's a choice of words. Imagery. If it uses figurative language, yeah, such as metaphor, personification, hyperbole, etc. Carefully crafted syntax, meaning sentence structure, and personal anecdotes. If the argument includes experiences and stories of other people, more or less, the argument appeals to the pathos. Next, how do we identify if an argument uses logos or appeal to logos? If there are facts, statistics, researches mentioned, if the argument refers to experts or cause and effect, then it uses logos. Or next is, how do I identify ethos? If the argument or the speech or a written text states qualifications of expertise, if it uses first person plural pronouns we, if it cites relevant authorities, or if it cites relevant allusions. Okay, now, knowing the elements of an argument. So what are the elements of an argument? So a successful argument has two elements, and they are conviction, okay, and persuasion. Conviction, which is based on logic or correct reasoning. So if it appeals to logos, and persuasion, which is the emotional aspect of an argument. So if it appeals to what? The pathos or the emotion. Now, both factors are necessary because an argument does not merely persuade others to accept the truth presented. An appeal to the intellect alone may convince people, but it may leave them cold and indifferent. Persuasion must be utilized to move them to action. On the other hand, persuasion alone cannot produce a lasting effect. As soon as the emotions have cooled off, the truth presented is likely to be forgotten unless conviction remains to guide future action. Okay, so what does it mean? It means that there should be a balance between the what? Between the conviction and persuasion. Conviction alone, you may be able to convince someone, but as it says here, okay, it may, or an appeal to the intellect alone may convince people, but it may leave them cold and indifferent, right? While if you're using the persuasion, if you're appealing to the emotion, you may be able to convince other people to believe in what you believe, but later, sooner or later, when the emotion has died out, they may change their mind. So for us to successfully make a good argument is to have a proper balance between conviction and persuasion. So we have mentioned that there should be a balance between conviction and persuasion. Now, what is the correct proportion of conviction and persuasion? In general, a person should use more of the element of conviction than persuasion in an argument. So you must put a bigger percentage on the conviction and a lesser percentage on the persuasion. But you should not erase persuasion from the picture. Now, that is a general rule, but it will still depend on the audience that you have. So if you are making a speech or writing an article for a group of people who are of higher intellect, who are intelligent or educated, what you do is that you use more conviction. Next, use more conviction if the audience is favorably disposed toward the question or an issue. So you may also use more conviction if your audience are inclined to believing onto the other side. Okay, so if they are favorably disposed toward the question or an issue, for example, if you have a group of students who would really want an academic freeze, okay, if you're going to make a speech or write an article where you would want them to believe that academic freeze won't be helpful for them, then you have to use more conviction than persuasion. And you may also use more persuasion if you seek to move an audience into a desired action. If you want people to do something, or if you want a group of people to make an action, okay, what you do is that you put a bigger percentage on persuasion, meaning you focus on the emotional appeal. Next, conciliation. So what is the term conciliation? Almost all arguments begin with conciliation, which means getting the goodwill of the audience, rousing their interest, and conditioning them to believe what is asserted. An argument cannot be successful if the introduction is disagreeable or creates ill will. The first function of the introduction is to win the approval and goodwill of the audience. Its second function is to arouse interest. Like any other essay that you're writing, or like any other speech that you are making, introduction is always important. They always say first impression last. Yes, it's true for many instances. So if you are making a speech, or if you're writing an article or an argumentative essay, you always have to focus on the introduction, because it will keep your readers, or it will keep your audience. If you have a bad introduction, then this audience will not listen to you, or will not continue reading your essay or your article. So as it was mentioned in here, introduction functions or is important to win the approval of your audience. And the second function of it is that it arouses interest. So you have to make sure that your introduction is entertaining enough, or is effective enough in motivating your listener or your reader to continue, or to read, or to listen. One of the strongest forms of conciliation is to appeal to some emotion. By establishing a common ground on which to meet your audience, you will arouse and hold the interest of your listeners. It is important to begin with a striking statement. So if you are working on an essay, may it be an argumentative essay or a persuasive essay, or if you are writing a speech, you can begin by appealing to the emotion, because this will catch your audience's or your readers' attention, and it will keep them. It is suggested here that you begin with a striking statement. Now, what are the other things that you can make in the construction of an argument? So here are some. First is to call at action. The action the speaker or writer is persuading the audience to or reader to take. Claim. Debatable, controversial statement the speaker or writer intends to prove with audience. Okay, next is commentary. Connecting the evidence to the claim. How does an evidence support the claim? Concession, meaning a respectful acknowledgement of opposing viewpoint. Yes, remember that when you present an argument, you do not just present your stand. You have to present both stands, or both issues, right? The pros and the cons, because it would be more effective to persuade people if you present both facts in them, or both sides in them, and then devise a way in which they will believe in your stand. Hook. The beginning of a persuasive essay meant to capture the reader's attention. You can use a quotation, a profound statement, an imagery, an anecdote. It's up to you. The list is unlimited. You can be as creative as you can be in creating an introduction, or in hooking your audience. Next is evidence. Support for writer's claim. Examples, anecdotes, facts, statistics, research. Remember the 3 appeals. So you can include all of them in making an argument, or in writing an argumentative essay. You have to provide evidence with your claims. Your essay or your speech should not be opinionated. It must be backed up with facts from researches, statistics from different studies, and from people of authorities. Thesis, a sentence that expresses the writer's position on a certain topic. You have to remember that your stand on an issue must be clear to your audience. Okay, so it would be impossible for you to persuade them, or to make them believe in what you believe, if they do not know, or if it's not clear where you stand on a particular issue. And of course, qualifier puts limits on a claim, usually, sometimes, in most cases, etc. So we can make use of qualifiers in stating your argument. So this is just an example of a structure of an argumentative essay or an argumentative speech. So that's it. I hope you learned something from this video. See you again next week.